Videographers, you guys have a special place in my heart because way back in the day, back when I was an early teenager, I got my first camera. I loved taking pictures, being creative. Then I started making surf videos and skate videos with me and all my friends. So if there's one area of expertise that I really have somewhat mastered per se, it would be this, but not just in how to film, how to make it a profitable business venture for you and your leader. Because if you're watching this, you are not just a person with a camera. You are one of the most important roles in the entire content system, because leaders don't struggle with content because they can't talk. They struggle because they're holding too much context. They're thinking about too many things and they're not used to being on camera as themselves. So your job is to make filming feel safe, simple, and repeatable. Not impressive, not crazy cinematic, not perfect, sustainable. That's how your creative mind should focus. So all of these sections are really on how to be a videographer that supports the leader and the person who's hiring you to film their content. But in the business world, when someone needs content filmed, they're not looking for someone who's creative. They're looking for someone who can really support them in this venture. So that's what we're really going to talk about in all these sections. So section 1, your real role as a videographer. When you work with leaders, you're not just filming talent or an actress or an actor. You're filming thinking. That's the first shift I want you to make. And most videographers are trained to think in terms of this: framing, lighting, exposure, compensation, and technical quality. All of that definitely matters, but none of it is the main concern that you should have when you're filming your employer or leaders. Because leaders don't show up empty, they show up carrying a lot. They're carrying the decisions, the pressure, the responsibility, and the weight of what they're saying, and the context and expectations from the business. So when they sit down in front of a camera, they're not nervous because they hate being on camera. That might be the case sometimes, but really they're nervous because their brain is still running the company. So your job is to help them set that down for a little bit when they're in front of your lens. And that's why your role is not just technical, it's very much relational. A great videographer knows how to read the room before pressing record. So you're paying attention to things like, are they rushed or settled? Are they thinking out loud or are they over-editing themselves? Are they personally speaking to someone who's watching this video or are they just performing in front of the camera? That's two very different things. So that awareness is more important than the camera you're holding. What reading energy actually means. Reading energy does not mean being emotional, soft, or therapeutic. What it means is noticing patterns. For example, when a leader starts talking faster, they're usually trying to get it right, which is very hard to save themselves from. When they stop mid-sentence, they're editing themselves. They're thinking, did I say that right or did I say it wrong? And when they ask, was that good? They're seeking external validation instead of clarity. Your job is not to correct them. Your job is to normalize the process. So simple phrases matter here. And let me go over a couple that I used on many jobs that made people love working with me and really be able to come out of their shell when I was behind the camera. So here's some of the things I would say. That idea is clear. Let's keep going. We've got what we need for that one. Say that again, but explain it like you would to me as a real person. First off, it helps them feel safe, like you're not judging them for the type of experience that you're doing. So these cues pull them out of their head and back into proper communication. Reducing pressure is a part of the job. Pressure is a silent killer of good content. And pressure doesn't come from the cameras. It comes from expectations, specifically their own expectations. So leaders often feel like they need to say everything perfectly. This take needs to be the one, or they're wasting your time if they stumble. So you need to reduce pressure by how you structure the session. This is so important. You make it clear through your actions that nothing has to be perfect. Everything can be cut and edited, and one idea at a time is enough. Help them slow down a little bit. The moment a leader realizes they don't have to perform, their presence will change. And that's when content gets good. Keep momentum without rushing them. Momentum is not speed. Momentum is flow. You keep momentum by stopping takes early instead of letting them ramble on for minutes, wasting valuable time. Resetting quickly when the energy drops and moving on when ideas have landed. A common mistake videographers make is letting a leader push through a bad take. Don't do that. Instead of letting them ramble on, stop them politely and say, hey, I think we got most of that, but it was kind of long. Let's go back and reset. What are you trying to say? And then put it in a simple way that you think I could understand and resonate with. Instead, say something like, hey, cool, we got that take. Let's go ahead and reset. Let's take a break and come back. Or this is the most simple one. Let's move to the next idea. So these statements protect their confidence and keep filming efficient. Knowing when to step in and when to step back. This is where experience shows. You want to step in and maybe pause them or redirect their thoughts when they're clearly reading instead of speaking and communicating. They're spiraling into overthinking. They're trying to cover too much at once. But on the contrary, you want to step back and let them speak when you can feel that they are in the groove, that they're explaining things naturally and they're finding their own rhythm. Your goal is not to control the session. Your goal is to support the leader's natural clarity. So why this actually matters long-term. Here's the part that most videographers don't see, is that if a leader leaves a filming session feeling drained, frustrated, embarrassed, or overly self-critical, which happens a lot, they will subconsciously avoid filming the next time. They will cancel, they will reschedule, they will deprioritize content, and the system will start to break. But if they leave feeling clear, supported, confident, and surprisingly energized, content becomes repeatable, and that's when you keep your role in a job, the team stabilizes, and the business actually benefits from content. So that's the difference between capturing footage and building a system. Now, it's not to say as the videographer that you have to be totally accountable with how the leader feels after they film with you, but it is your responsibility to set the stage properly. So in the next section, we're going to be going over preparing the space before the leader arrives.